So I can't hear anyway, but I just want to make sure you guys can. But we had a brief conversation earlier today, and we've been doing some thinking a little bit about sort of at least at a high level, the areas and the domains that we have to consider metrics in when it comes to virtual engagement, virtual events. And this, I promise, won't be death by PowerPoint. Guaranteed. 4 quick slides here just to give you an idea. One of the first things that we see, and think about this, right? Tomorrow afternoon, you know, Mike and all the rest of us and all of us up here tomorrow afternoon about 4:45, we're going to split. Right? We're going to go. And some of us are connected on LinkedIn, and you know, some of us might be Twittering with one another or whatever. But as far as this event is concerned, it's like over. It might be on demand for a while, but it's kind of like over. And what we're seeing, and again, this isn't our thinking, this is thinking from the industry, this is thinking from our customers, is that we're seeing a movement from over here where this episodic event, in other words, we're running like hey, let's run a 1-hour webinar all the way to, let's say, a 3-day around the world, you know, 72-hour event. We're seeing a change from that to thinking around a persistent environment, getting more, in other words, from a depth of interaction perspective, more of an engagement aspect, more of the social networking aspect, rather than just simply the reach that you typically think about, because that's one of the key metrics, right, is reach. How many more people am I getting and how many more locations in an episodic event? So that's one of the changes we're seeing. And that, again, that comes from the persistence of or having the event, if you like, or the environment open all the time. And think about your jobs and your marketing role. And what are some of the things that you have to do or that happen inside that role? And you can read the slide just as well, but these are the activities that typically will take place, all the way from webinars through user conferences and forums, etc. And I think that before we even start thinking about what we want to measure and what metrics we want to apply, we've almost got to change our thinking. Somebody asked a question this morning in Paul's session around, you know, how long can we engage people? How long should these events be? And I think that's a very profound question, because most of us, myself included, by the way, I've got a 5-year background in WebEx, but so that was a bit different. But most of us, when we think about physical events, we think about being together for a couple of days or whatever. And I think it's going to change. I think that we're going to go from that kind of thinking to more of a, you know, the engagement being permanent and the activities being much shorter, potentially. So what are the areas? Again, think about your job. And from a marketer's perspective, you've got to think about the entire customer life cycle, all the way from awareness, through acquisition, through expansion of your customer base, through retention, and then even intelligence and insight and innovation. I mean, that's the role. Some of the metrics that we're seeing people talk about in these categories are right here. And I want to go back again to something we said this morning, which I think was extremely insightful. It's not just about the leads, and it's about the outcome. What's the actual business result outcome that happens? And we see that in the acquisition thing. Acquisition, often we think about just measuring leads, but I think it's very important to take it right through, especially with, you know, with my sales background. For me, a lead is absolutely great, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, what really counts is the conversion rate. What did I sell? How long did it take me? What was the sales cycle, sales cycle length? How big was the deal? And did any of this interaction impact that? So I think inherently, what that implies is that whatever metrics we're tracking have to be tracked from not just registration in the event, but then tracked right throughout the life cycle, right? And you can see some of the key performance indicators that, you know, that we're hearing a lot from customers. So, you know, discussion-wise, this is what we want to talk about. What do you see?
This is pretty profound. I mean, you said 2 things that kind of blew me away. Number one is the notion that even talking about a metrics package or a set of metrics instrumentation and data takeout from a virtual event is only a tiny facet of the picture. But what we're really talking about is something that can only be expressed in a customer relationship management framework, or a customer relationship management, business process automation kind of framework. You're talking about a cradle to grave customer relationship. And as such, you're talking about, I mean, publishing companies, obviously, because what publishing companies do, you know, as much as anything else certainly is we hire editors who have brilliant ideas for content. We think of everything in terms of, okay, we have this great idea for content, let's write this content, or let's make a magazine around this content, and let's find audience for it. You're almost talking about, you know, a situation where it's the community that forms first. And the community has a long lifespan in principle. You know, potentially an infinite lifespan if a company's offerings continue to evolve within the context of that community as a, you know, as a facet of its customer base. And then touching them in all these different ways with all these different media. Virtual events being a highly immersive way of touching them, but not the only way.
But only one way.
You know.
Right. Exactly. Couldn't agree more, John. I mean, that's why I think, again, we've got to think about it holistically and think about the ability all the way from, you know, planning your strategy for your event right through the technology that you use to make sure that all of that happens. I mean, I know tomorrow one of the panels we're going to be talking a little bit about the future of where this is all going, and I see the distinctions blurring out there. A lot of partnerships and a lot of sort of technology integration capabilities that aren't done yet.